Hi, good morning, everyone. This is the fifth lesson on Introduction to Functions, Algebra 1 Extension lessons. So we talked about in one of the other lessons about domain and range, and this is going to be extending that concept a little bit more graphically. So remember, the domain is the x values and the range is the y values. And we're going to be using inequality signs to now determine the domain and range of graphs. So let's just do a quick thing on inequalities that we've done in class this year. So let's see if I can find where my pen is. Where is my pen? There it is. Okay. So my pen, inequality. So main thing you have to remember is that the open circle, closed circle thing. Okay. So an open circle is a less than or greater than. Okay. And a closed circle is less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. And that really does matter when you're doing this. You can see that in these coordinate plane graphs, you have open circle, closed circles too. So that concept keeps trending on consistently in mathematics. So remember, the domain is your x value, which means you're looking at things horizontally now. And that's the way I kind of like to look at it. So your domain, now if you look at this graph, it's over here. So your domain is going to be from here to there. And what you're going to do is that it's at -3. You always want to write the smallest value on the left side and the largest value on the right side when you're doing inequality ranges. So it's at -3, and because it's an open circle and the value of x is going to be greater than that. So like you're going to be writing -3 is less than x because we're using x values. And because this is a closed circle, it's going to be less than or equal to 3. So what this is saying is that any value between -3 and 3, not including -3, fulfills the domain for this. So because this graph is continuous, meaning that there's no breaks in it, you can even look at decimals as proper values. In the range, you're going to be looking at it vertically because that's how y's roll. And like I said, you want to look at the smallest value first. It's easy to go over here left to right, but you kind of want to go down to up this time because you always want to have the smallest values to the left. So if you're looking at this, -3 is your smallest y value, and your highest one is 3. And now you're looking at y. And -3 has a closed circle, and 3 has an open circle. And if you notice, this is the best way to do it. Just write the lower bound, the upper bound, and then just write the inequalities. You're not going to have, you can write it the other way, but you're most consistently going to see the smallest value on the left side because that's how a number line works and that's how graphs work. If you do it the other way, is it wrong? I'm not going to say it's not wrong. It's just not something that's written that way. Other way meaning that if you do 3 is greater than x is greater than -3. Like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I've never really seen it too much as a teacher, so I would get into the habit of just doing it this way. Okay, so now domain, for this one, remember, it's the x's, so you're looking at horizontally. And these arrows mean that it's going continuously. There's no stopping. So I'm just going to do an arrow like that to show that. So what that means is that your lower bound is -2, right? And this is continuous at that graph. So it's going to be a less than or equal to, and then x. And because it's greater than, it's continuous that way. You don't need to write an upper bound. And in this case, because there's no upper bound, I would flip these over and rewrite it the other way. Just flip the entire thing over because you don't really want to have the variable alone on the right side. That's also not something that you see standard form in math class either. I know it's all these little weird things, but you kind of need to have some consistencies when you're doing this. Another way you can write this is, I'm just going to write it over here in purple, and this is something that maybe I shouldn't have written this way. You can write it this way, but another way you can write this is -2 is less than x, which is less than positive infinity. What that means that it's going towards infinity continuously, or like continuous. And you don't really write a equal to sign here because it's not bounded by anything. It's just going on forever. So this is another way you should write it, because this comes into our ranges in this. If you look at our range here, the lower bound here is an arrow, so it's going to be an arrow like this, and the upper bound is also an arrow. So that's one of the reasons I kind of introduced this. So when you're writing this answer, now we have on the lower bound, it is negative infinity. And on the upper bound, it's going continuous, so it's positive infinity. And sometimes they write the minus and pluses after it. It's fine. It really depends on the textbook or the teachers. And no equal to there. And this is a y. And this is how you would write this with inequality symbols. Okay? So how about you pause it and try 2 and 4 on your own and see if you get the same answers as me. Okay? Pause. So welcome back, and these are the answers that I got over here for the domain and range. And notice this time it's the x's that are going continuously, so it's from negative infinity to positive infinity. And for the y's, it's going in the negative direction, infinity. So it's bounded by 4 at the top, so it's negative infinity to 4, including 4. So we have a few more problems to do, I believe. Okay, so down here. So we can, again, if you want, we can do these together from here to here. So it's going to be -3, including 3, and including that 3. And the range is the same, actually, -3, including -3, and including 3, because that's just how the line moves. Number 6. So the graph starts over here and ends here. I'm going to assume it's touching -4 and 4. Sometimes not easy to really draw it, but I'm sure that's what the worksheet is. So it's going to be -4 to +4. And then the range is going to be -3 to +3. And number 7, does the graph in question 6 represent a function? Why or why not? I want you to take a second and think about it. And it's not a function because we've talked about graphically and identifying a function when you're looking at a graph, and you can just draw any vertical line. You have multiples here. You have actually infinite number of vertical lines where if it crosses more than one point on that line, there's 2 points here, 2 points here, 2 points here. And when it does that, the vertical line test fails, so it is not a function. Vertical line test fails. Okay. And last problem in the notes. So create a graph that has the following domain and range. So what I'm going to do is kind of do what we were doing before. This time I'm just going to draw what they're saying. So it's going to be from -2, including -2 because of that equal sign. So I'm going to just draw a dot here so I know. And it goes to 3, open circle. So we know this is going to be how it looks horizontally. And vertically, it's going to be a closed circle. Whoops. Closed circle at -4 all the way up to 5 up here. And there are a lot of right graphs that you can get from here. So you're just kind of going to match this up. There's no wrong or like answer for this. So so one thing you've noticed, this is a closed circle and this is a closed circle, so these have to be together. So you're just going to go from matching up that -2 with that -4. I'm going to do a closed circle. Matching up that open circle to this open circle is going to be here. And now whatever, you can draw a straight line here, you could draw a curved line here, like whatever you like. I mean, that's not a good line, but trying to draw a better line. You could go nope, that's not a function. Yeah, it's just saying graph. It doesn't even have to be a function. You could draw something like this. There's a lot of ways. As long as your lower bound on your upper bound has a closed circle down here and open circle up there, you're good. Thanks for joining me on a graphing domain and range lesson. Bye.